Hello, everyone. X-Walk Hill Bethelite here, and I'm still working on getting over uh, whatever sickness I had that had me coughing nonstop. Got my orange juice here, and let's talk about the reason why a lot of your friends and relatives are not going to leave Watchtower, even though it's blatantly obvious that it's a cult. It's just as obvious that Watchtower is a cult as it is that Scientology is a cult. It's literally just as obvious that Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult, just like Scientology is a cult. But the reason why a lot of your relatives and friends aren't going to leave, even though they are aware that Watchtower is wrong more times than not, is because of prejudice. Watchtower has been telling its members that they are better than Christians for so long. Watchtower has been telling its members that they are better than churchgoers and that they are special for so long that Jehovah's Witnesses have a sort of prejudice against church. They think a church is below them, right? So that if they leave their cult, they feel like they're taking a step down and going to a church. You can almost illustrate it like this when you're talking about prejudice. Let's say a family is dealing with their daughter dating a guy who is not there for her more times than not. Most of the time, he's not there for her. He's not helping pay bills. He's not. He's pretty much, just going out doing his own thing, almost living like he's single, but he's white. That family, if they're prejudiced, would prefer their daughter date that guy who's white versus their white daughter date a black guy that may be there for her, right? That's what prejudice would do. Prejudice would make a person not care about anything other than them feeling better than someone else and wanting to reinforce that view. So now we're dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, what's the connection there with that whole prejudice illustration? Well, that family would rather their daughter be with a guy who's unreliable, but he's white, and that therefore reinforces their prejudice that they're better than other people, than for their daughter to leave him and go to a guy who's black that may be better for her. Well, it's the same with Jehovah's Witnesses wanting to stay with Watchtower that's unreliable, more wrong, and falsely prediction the end of the world and the whole 1914 fiasco and the whole millions now living will never die book and all this other stuff that was going on. They would rather stay with Watchtower than go to a church, even though a church would be more reliable in its teaching, because they feel like church is below them. They feel better. And the crazy thing about it is that Jehovah's Witnesses are not and never have been better than church members, church goers. They're not better. You have Jehovah's Witnesses just like anybody else. You have divorces. You have people that leave their husband and go take off somewhere with some other guy. You have people who cheat on their wives. You have people who are married that flirt with others. Uh, you have everything that would pretty much go on inside of a church. Well, that same thing, immorality and whatnot, uh, pedophilia, goes on inside the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, but Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they're better than everybody else because they may choose to not speak to that person for 6 months to a year. Well, here's the problem. That wrongdoing still went on, right? Jehovah's Witnesses sometimes feel like they're better than church members because of shunning, as if shunning erases what happened. You have all kinds of bad things. You have, just like a church would have, some people that took it more serious than others. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses have the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, most young people don't stay in that organization. Most young people don't stay in that organization, right? Most young people leave, which is worse than at churches. You have some people at church that may be kind of not taking it that serious, but they still are able to get those people to still attend, which means there's a possibility of winning them over where they would take it more serious, right? Churches have more people attending. They're able to get those people inside the doors to listen to the message. Whereas Jehovah's Witnesses are in a bunch of empty kingdom halls. They can't even keep their kingdom halls filled, and the kingdom hall is smaller, half the size of a church, right? They have to sell these buildings and condense their people to fill up one of these things, right? But they feel like they're better than a church when they can't even get people in the hall. They can't even keep their young people inside that organization, right? They leave. For one, they find out it's a cult. For two, they pretty much find out that they're a bunch of hypocrites. Jehovah's Witnesses are a bunch of hypocrites. And Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they're better than everybody else because, well, if something happens here, we'll just sweep it under the rug and say, well, we shunned that person. We didn't talk to him for a little while. That makes it all better. That makes the sin disappear, right? The things that go on within Jehovah's Witnesses, well, as long as we don't talk to that person for a little while, that makes it to where it just didn't happen. Right, we get to just keep pointing the finger at other churches and saying, well, hey, they did this, they did that, and they did the other, when you got the exact same thing going on inside of the Kingdom Hall. One of the differences, though, is you hardly got nobody in there, right? It may seem like to a Jehovah's Witness that more is going on inside of a church because that church has got thousands more people. Right? They're doing a much better job of getting people to attend and listen to a Christian message than Jehovah's Witnesses are. Jehovah's Witnesses are doing good to have maybe 200 people in there. Right? Whereas a church may have the seating where they have seats on the floor and they have seats in the balcony, and they got them all full. They got them all packed. Well, yeah, of course you're going to have more going on when the attendance for a regular church service is like the attendance at a Jehovah's Witness assembly, right? It's just as simple as, well, it seems like you guys don't have as much going on because you ain't got nobody in the hall. That's basically all it is. Right? Ain't nobody there. Right? You barely got nobody in there. So you feel like you're, and then Jehovah's Witnesses think that they're better than other people because they give out magazines, which is the dumbest thing that anybody in the world of religion has ever conceived. is that by passing out magazines from a printing company called Watchtower, you are a better Christian than the people who are providing shelters for the homeless, food for the hungry, funding for people for scholarships, that you're better than the people who are out here really making a difference in people's lives because, well, you have this magazine from a printing company called Watchtower that came up with all these false predictions and whatnot, talking about the generation of 1914 not passing away. And, well, we'll just ignore all that and keep passing it out anyway. So we're better than everybody else. This is the stupidest thing. Some of it is prejudice. They feel better than. They feel like they're going against churches. They don't want to leave, even though they know they're wrong, out of spite, out of haughtiness, out of feeling better than other people, out of just not wanting to lose their position where they're at. All right? I'm telling you, I grew up Jehovah's Witness. We had hella divorces. We had hella sexual stuff going on. We have come to know that there are hella pedophiles in there. And Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they're better than everybody about because of a magazine. Are you serious? But that's the reason why a lot of them ain't gonna leave. They don't care what went on. They don't care what false prediction. Watchtower can come up with 10 more false predictions in a row. They wouldn't care. They feel better than other people because they're in that little ass empty kingdom hall. It's stupid. I readily admit that it's stupid, but that's what these people think. Because you got to wonder, well, it's kind of obvious, and it might be the same with some Scientologists and whatnot. Well, they may feel special, being a part of something that's just kind of different, even though it's false, even though it's pretty much been exposed everywhere. They may stay because it makes them feel special. It's similar with Jehovah's Witnesses, right? It's something that's different. It's something that kind of makes them feel special. It makes them feel better than other people. And they rather listen to, and here's the whole thing, right? They have this view that elders and people like that are kind of walking the walk in addition to talking the talk. You got to understand, half these people have been disfellowshipped themselves. Half these people done been through a bazillion divorces. Half these people, elders, they lived this wild life. And then once they got old and nobody cared about them no more, or essentially once you get old, your value as far as it just goes down. Once you get older, your value in regards to being able to chase the opposite sex and going out and partying and all that stuff, it just goes down. So you had people that were just out doing all kinds of wild stuff, and then they got old, so they became elders. I mean, it's like, I personally know elders that been through a bazillion divorces. I mean, it's like, I just don't get why Jehovah's Witnesses feel they're better than other people because they gave out a magazine or they wrote a letter telling somebody to come to their empty ass kingdom hall. It's just stupid. It's pure stupid. But prejudice is stupid, right? Isn't it stupid? Right? That you may have someone that is interested in dating and the parents would rather this girl be with somebody who's not right for her as long as they ain't black, right? They feel that's a step down for them because of prejudice. It's the same, I think, with Jehovah's Witnesses. Why a lot of them won't leave a blatantly obvious cult. They feel better than a church member. They just do. They feel like they're in a higher position than a church member. They basically feel better than Christians do. They feel like a Jehovah's Witness is better than a Christian. Why? I don't know. Because they're part of a printing company that prints books and magazines, and they pass them out. They help them pass them out. These people are stupid. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X Wall Kill Beth Light signing out.